7, 6.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Brisbane City Council meeting. Will you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, all council members are here, so Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, there's no request under roll call item A, so we have now Councilmember Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Mackin.
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Mayor Lentz.
Here. All righty, so in regards to tonight's agenda, under new business, item O has been requested to be removed and returned in January. So I don't think there are any other items that are changed, so if someone is willing to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to.
Hold on just a second, Councilmember Mackin.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to add one thing for tonight's agenda, that we recognize Dolores Gomez celebrating her 95th birthday today. All of her contributions, longtime resident, librarian, historian, and a very vital member of our community.
Awesome, thank you for mentioning that. So with that, is that your motion for,
You have a motion, I'll second it.
okay?
Wait, are we gonna close in honor of her birthday?
We're going to recognize her birthday.
There we
Okay.
go.
We're going to close in recognition of her birthday.
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Oral communications. This is an opportunity for someone in the audience who wants to bring up an item that's not on tonight's agenda. So here's your opportunity. Anybody out there like to do so? All right. Anybody online? Okay, well, we will move on to the consent calendar. We have items B through J. If anyone wants to remove an item for discussion, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove item J for discussion, please. Very short discussion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, so we are approving items B through I.
Wait, I think we should read item B.
You know, I talked with the recipient, and he gave me the indication that we should leave it as is. Hey, John.
All right. Well, if that's his wishes, then
That is his wishes, but I tell you, John, we're going to miss you. So thank you for all your years of
There he
service.
Yes, thank you, John.
Okay, so items B through I. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so Colleen.
I asked for some clarification from Carolina. Carolina, you want to roll with it, or you want me to ask the questions?
Your preference is fine with me.
All right, well, why don't you just go ahead? I asked Carolina I had some additional questions about the report on it was about impact fees, development impact fees, and then also there was reference to a park development fund. So I asked for some clarification on that fund.
Does the council desire a brief overview of the report itself?
Please.
Okay. So this is the staff agenda item for the acceptance of the annual report of development impact fees for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2025. So based off of California code, the local agencies are required under the Mitigation Fee Act to report any development impact fees on the collection and use of these fees for public review within 180 days after the end of each fiscal year. So this annual report must be reviewed and accepted by the City Council at a regularly scheduled public meeting, and the annual report must include various specifications such as a brief description of the type of fee in the fund, the amount of the fee, beginning and ending balances for the fiscal year, and project activities such as fees collected, interest earned, and other project expenses, just to name a few of the requirements. To date, the city has been reporting on activity related to funds received in August 2020 in the amount of $1.5 million from Health Peak to be used towards improvements for park planning at Sierra Point. In part of the agenda report was a copy of the impact fee report. And so basically the description is that of the 1.5 million, the project associated with it is a Sierra Point Park planning and sea level rise study. So as of July 1st, 24, the beginning balance was $1.483 million. We earned interest in the amount of $64,000, and there were expenditures in the amount of $34,000. Ending balance as of June 30, 2025 was $1.513 million. So with that, I will close, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Carolina. So the question I had was, you mentioned the Park Development Fund and the balance. I'm assuming those funds are only development impact funds that are in that 1.5 million. Is that correct?
There are other funds in there that are not required to be reported for the Mitigation Fee Act because they were part of a special development agreement. So those would not be included in this report. So there is a balance total of 1.981 million in the fund, and so 469,000 is related specifically for Parcel R, which was the direction of that development agreement.
And the source of the other funds collected pursuant to the development agreement were from what party?
So the development agreement was entered into with Sierra Point LLC back in 2012, and we received $300,000 at that time. And in 2017, I apologize, the agreement was entered into in 2012, and in 2017, the agreement was restructured, and there was leased property at 400 Sierra Point Parkway. And in order for the development to repurpose the project at 3,500 Marina Boulevard, one of the stipulations was that they were going to release their interest in property of Parcel R, and they gave the city $300,000 at that time, 2017, to be used specifically to improve the Parcel R for park purposes, public purposes. In addition to that, since then, part of the agreement was also that any development that was going to be added to that property was going to be charged at 50 cents per square footage to be used towards developing the leased property. So in 2021, we received an additional $227.9 thousand from BP3, which is the replacement developer.
Okay. And then you mentioned in the staff report about a contract awarded to Conger Moss Gillard, CMG, and that 25% of the cost related to the CMG contract was allocated to Parcel R. So to date, we had paid CMG $118,932 for services. Were any of the funds used in that payment to CMG from the non-development impact fee funds? Or I'm sorry, from the non-DIF funds?
Correct. So 25% would have been anything that's related to the Parcel R, and then the 75% would be part of this Mitigation Fee Act from the Health Peak funds.
Okay. And assuming the non-impact fee funds, those also have gained interest over time?
That is correct.
Okay.
And
Thank you
the-
very much.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Carolina? No. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. All righty. Moving on to new business. You ready, Ingrid? Okay, so item K, administer the oath of office to newly appointed committee members and commissioners. I see we have some folks in the room, and thank you so much for your service and wanting to help your city in a more significant way. So, Ingrid, let's see. So should I go off this list, or should we bring everybody up?
Please call out the list, and as you call them out, they can come up here to the front of the dais.
Okay, so Alex Lau from the Planning Commission. Okay. Must be helping someone at the hospital. All right. All right, so Daria Wozniak?
Darius.
Daria, sorry. Christian Cabrera. Aaron Becker. And Darius is going to be part of the Planning Commission, and Christian is with the Complete Streets and Safety Committee. Aaron Becker's with Open Space and Ecology. Jason Noonan? Jason in the house? No? Okay. Mary Rogers, Open Space and Ecology. Michelle Salmon, Open Space and Ecology. Anthony Walker, Open Space and Ecology. Is Trudy in the house? I didn't see. She's not here. Okay. All right. Christine Kernitsky for Park and Rec. Natalie Ocampo from Park. No. Okay. I saw Tom Seawall in the house for Park and Rec. All right. Marissa Lee Beard for the IDEA Committee. Anna Dennis for IDEA Committee. I didn't see Anna online. Oh, hey. All righty. Hey, Anna. All righty. Quita Highsmith, also online. There you go. Saw Alex Horton for IDEA Committee. All right, she's got a little friend with her. That's nice. And Carol Zoltowski for IDEA Committee. Hey, Carol.
Congratulations again to everybody here. So if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I will now administer the oath or affirmation of allegiance for public officers and employees.
Anna Dennis.
Do solemnly swear I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
The Constitution of the United States.
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
Foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the
Constitution of the United States.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
And of California.
I take this obligation freely
Take this obligation.
without any mental reservation
Reservation.
or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully
And faithfully.
discharge the duties
Duties.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to item L. That's the selection of the new mayor and the mayor pro tem. So, can I get a motion to select a new mayor? I would love to make that motion
Please do.
and select Mayor Pro Tem Colleen Mackin to be our new mayor. Get a
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now next is the appointing the Mayor Pro Tem. Can I get a motion for that position?
I'll make a motion to appoint Councilmember Davis for Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. All right. All right, the peaceful transfer of power. Right. So, all right, I think we have some oaths to take.
Are we coming down there? Okay.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Colleen Mackin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'm supposed to assume the driver's seat.
You are in the driver's seat, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to my colleagues. We'd like to recognize outgoing Mayor Cliff Lentz for his service. And I have a proclamation to read, but I'm going to say something first. No one realizes what the job of mayor is until you've sat in the chair and had to actually perform the duties. It is sometimes an all-consuming feat. 7 days a week, people call you at all hours of day and night, and it's tough to be there for everybody. Sometimes they want to complain to you. They oftentimes have lots of suggestions, and you want to be a good sounding board and be careful and listen to them. And I would just like to recognize and thank Mayor Lentz, because I think he served us with distinction and commitment. And Clark used to refer to him as the Energizer Bunny.
Yes.
And I totally agree with that, because this man, I don't know how you make as many events and go to as many places as you do. I'm afraid you may collapse now after this feat, but I hope that's not the case. So on behalf of my colleagues and the residents, I'd like to thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
So now I'm going to read a proclamation we have. Whereas Cliff Lentz served as the mayor of the city of Brisbane from December 12th, 2024 to December 11th, 2025. And whereas his tenure as mayor has been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interests of our city and the well-being of our community members by championing issues such as community engagement, volunteerism, protection of the city's natural spaces, economic vitality, and community safety. Whereas he remained a strong advocate for the city of Brisbane on the county, state, and federal levels on issues such as environmental stewardship, age-friendly cities, collaboration with the Brisbane Chamber of Commerce and Brisbane businesses, nonprofit organizations, partnering with schools and school districts, including sponsoring the Mayor for a Day event at City Hall. Whereas he spent many hours working to solve issues and explore new projects for council consideration. As part of his work in numerous council subcommittees and county assignments, including the following: Association of Bay Area Governments, Brisbane Emergency Services Council, League of California Cities, Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance, San Mateo County Emergency Services Council, Age-Friendly Subcommittee, Bayland Subcommittee, Crocker Park Subcommittee, Economic Development Subcommittee, Housing Subcommittee, Infrastructure, Utilities and Franchise Subcommittee, and many more. That just wears me out even reading it. Whereas as mayor, he hosted many city events marking important milestones such as the pilot Halloween street night closures to improve safety for trick-or-treaters, the volunteer luncheon to appreciate the service and dedication of city committee members and commissioners, and the meeting with the Peter Jones Group to discuss reestablishing a formal sister cities relationship between the city of Brisbane and the city of Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Whereas one of his final acts as mayor was lighting the festival tree at the city's 39th annual Festival of Lights with Brisbane Volunteer of the Year, Herman Rice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that after a year of dedicated service as mayor of the city of Brisbane, we thank Mayor Lentz for his dedication and commitment to serving the community and furthering the qualities that have made Brisbane a great city to live and work.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a couple words?
A rebuttal.
I'm not trying to catch you off guard.
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you to my council colleagues for the opportunity to serve as the mayor. You know, it's been an honor, and I really cherish the opportunity. You know, I also want to thank the public, the residents of Brisbane. To be the mayor, you have to be elected to the city council. And when you're out there campaigning, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to get enough votes and represent the city. So I just want to thank all of you in the audience and just in general for putting your faith in me to serve you. You know, some people might think that being the mayor is just a ceremonial role. And to some degree, yes, it is. You know, you have the same vote as all the other council members. There's no veto power, and you know, but there's a connection. There is a connection that you make with the public, and it is different. I've been on the city council now. This is my 15th year, and the times that I have been the mayor, for whatever reason, that engagement with the public just seems to be a little different, and I use it as a motivator. Not that I don't work hard all the other years that I'm on the council, but there's just something that you make that connection with the public, and it just fires you up to just do your very best. And I really enjoyed having the office hours every month, from having that great meeting with Littman School students at the library one month, and going out to the mobile home park and eating pizza with them, and just hearing about what they care about and the things that are really important to them, and the packed house that we had at the Altamar Clubhouse up at the Ridge. Boy, that was really awesome. And you become a better council member when you make those exchanges. And I just really appreciate people wanting to engage with me, because it really is a two-way street. And so thank you for the opportunity, and I still have 3 more years. I'm not going anywhere. I know some folks last night thought I was leaving the council, which I thought was just really cute and just endearing. So, but I'm looking forward to the next 3 years working with all of you and and supporting our new mayor, Colleen Mackin, as we go into 2026. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday. And yeah, it's been great serving you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe we're going to take a short break. When we say short, we usually say 15 minutes and ends up being 20. So I'm going to say 15 minutes. And I believe there's some refreshments in the lobby area for all of you to enjoy. So hope we see you back here in about 15 minutes. Thank you. Calling the meeting back to order. Next item on the agenda is item P, provide general guidance on plaque honoring David Schooley. Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. A number of months ago, at the end of one of the meetings, the then Mayor Lentz suggested that opportunities to celebrate the work that Mr. Schooley has done in the community, it was time to do so. The council agreed to that proposition. And I asked Moz, when he came on board, to start to consider what something of a recognition opportunity could look like. These are the thoughts that he put down. These are just thoughts. They are not intended to be directive in any way, and we're certainly open to suggestions related to what would be the appropriate way to honor Mr. Schooley. The staff report suggests using a natural feature to place a plaque in an appropriate location with information and perhaps a picture of Mr. Schooley. Costs are listed under fiscal impact, and we can absorb that within current budgets. Thank you very much.
Okay, so do we have council questions? How about we start with Councilmember Kern?
Just one question this evening. Regarding our public arts fund, if we deem this a functional art project, is it possible to use funds from that?
I would defer to our attorney online, but I do think there's some flexibility in our public art program to include this. I would like to think so, and I would strive to figure a way out to do that.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Michael Roush, special counsel to the city. I agree with the city manager. I think depending on what the nature of the piece would be, it probably could fall within the definition of public art. We would certainly strive to accomplish that, and if that were the case, funds in the public art fund could be used for that purpose.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember O'Connell?
Not too many questions for staff. I think that, if we're going to do a piece, that we would want to make sure that it's in an area that has eyes on it so that it wouldn't get tampered with necessarily. I know that we had one where our, little Rocky raccoon was stolen and we had to replace him. So depending on what kind of piece it is, I think it would be good to have it more into the public realm than out of the public realm. And again, if it could be, possibly it could be included in part of the art benches that we have going with the public art, that might be a way to integrate some of the costs and do an art piece or a history piece, that kind of thing, along with commemorating David. So it's more, not really questions for staff, but more direction of conversation.
Okay. Councilmember Davis?
I don't have any questions.
Councilmember Lentz?
No
I
questions.
almost wanted to call you Mayor.
That's all right, Madam Mayor. No questions. Just
All
ready
right.
for discussion or hearing from the public.
Okay, I have no questions. We have any public comment? Michelle?
I read the staff report. It's been a couple of days, but there was some mention of putting this up on like Paul and Margaret or somewhere like that. And that I would be absolutely opposed to. First of all, it's a private road, and then the trails from there go across private property. And I would not want to make that an attractive place for people to want to go. That trail probably gets way more use than it should. It runs through some extremely rare and fragile habitat. But right now we're working on a PCA grant to improve Quarry Road from San Francisco Street to Army Road. And if we get the grant, that would be a pretty ideal place to put something like this, because that is the pathway that leads to like Buckeye and Owl Canyons and the Ridge and the more public hikeable areas of San Bruno Mountain accessed through Brisbane, and it would be on Brisbane's city property. and access to it would be a trail that is hopefully well used. It's well used now, and we're hoping that when we make it into more native planting, and it's a really good plan. It ticks all the boxes with the PCA grants. So I'm hoping we get that grant and that we do start actively working on Quarry Road, making it permeable pavement, making, water wells and seeps, and controlling the water flow so it just doesn't, and continuing to enhance the area with benches and that type of thing, and making it a real interactive pathway to the mountain. And that would probably be the best place that we could think about putting something like this, and it would be incorporated, could more easily be incorporated into public art. But I wouldn't want to see it just someplace up on the mountain. And just to be clear, a lot of the trail making that David did was not sanctioned. So there was some conflicts about that as well. So I wouldn't get too I don't know what to say. But I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen before moving forward with where and when and how and what. So thank you. I love David. I met him when I was 16 years old. He walked into the public library when I was working there, and he's like, "My mountain." I'm thinking, wait, it's my mountain. But it's everyone's mountain. It's the people's mountain. And he's done a lot of incredible work to introduce the mountain to the people. But we still have a lot of work to do to educate the people about the mountain and how important it is regionally to and for the future. Thank you.
Ingrid, it looks like we have someone online.
Judy, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, is this a unrelated items comment period, or is this agenda item?
This is an agenda item.
Okay, did we miss, did I already miss the unrelated items comment section?
That will still be coming up.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll wait for that. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments? Anyone here? No? Seeing none? Okay. Move on to council discussion. Councilmember Lentz, you want to start?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, David Schooley is, to me, an icon. He's someone who has devoted his life to something bigger than himself, and very few people do that. And I'm really glad that we're going to move forward with some kind of recognition. Where the location shall be, I think we should have options. One of the things that I would like to do, if the council was okay with it, I owe David a hike on the mountain, and I'd like to go on a hike with him and just see if there's a special place in his heart that he'd like to have that recognition be made. And granted, it might not work, but maybe, he's just given so much to our community through the protection of San Bruno Mountain. We recognize ourselves. I mean, that our mascot really is the mountain. We love the mountain. It's like our mother. And so I just feel that besides just recognizing him, letting him have an opportunity to choose the location. So that's what I'm hoping I could get some direction from the council to allow me to do that.
Councilmember Davis.
Few comments. I think if we want to try to tap into public art funds, I would think that we should get feedback from the Public Art Committee about, we haven't really discussed using public art money for commemorative things. So I think that that's something that they should weigh in on and provide feedback whether they feel that that's appropriate. I think if the committee is supportive of that, what would make sense would be either a bench, because that's an existing public art program that we're trying to, get as many artful benches as possible, and we're going to have a framework for that kind of program. So to me, that makes sense. I don't know how much, though, you can convey if you're wanting, his face on it or text. That may get a little challenging. Whether, a bench is really the right kind of canvas for that. Part of the public art program, as it pertains to benches, is looking at existing benches that can be painted. So there already may be a bench in a good spot that we can rehab, and then also new benches as well. So there would be two options there. I think that if we already are going to be if we get that grant money and we're going to be investing in a pathway, and I assume seating is going to be part of that, that seems like a natural, good place, like Michelle suggested. I think also, trying to get a piece up on the mountain has its set of challenges, and you want to make sure that it's something that is accessible, that people can enjoy. The other thing I would say would be one of the tenets in the public art master plan is placemaking. And so an alternative art piece could be something that is educational. And so you may see, like on the Bay Trail, right, there are those plaques that are telling you about wildlife you might see, or fish that are in the area, or plants that are in the area. And so on that pathway, that could be a place where there are plaques that are kind of talking about maybe some of the history of San Bruno Mountain, the Indians that were here, or the Native Americans that were here. And then one of the plaques could be about David Schooley as a pioneer and building trails, and have a picture of him. And so it could be like a series. And that, I think, maybe is an appropriate way to use public art money as for educational purposes, but also to commemorate David Schooley without being, this is the David Schooley bench. Because then you may get into the thing of, well, where's the bench for so-and-so, and where's the bench for this person? So that could be an idea, but I think that it would be appropriate for the Public Art Committee to weigh in on what they think makes sense, and if even funds should be used for that kind of purpose.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be that we use public arts funds for this.
Right.
We can always designate other funds. And one of the ideas could be that where this acknowledgement for David is there could be a companion piece that is public art funded, or something else that helps that placemaking and make it more of something just besides going to see the memorial. There's other things, and make it more placemaking. But again, I think that's down the road. I think it's a good idea. I like the thought of honoring David and all the work he's done for environmental purposes and protecting the mountain, and all the love and devotion that he has given of his life to San Bruno Mountain. And it crosses boundaries from Brisbane into the neighboring communities because he cares so much. So I'd love to see something move forward, but I think it needs to be really thought out about what would be the best thing. And I'm not sure that we could really have something up on the mountain where we couldn't manage it and maintain it and ensure its safety to the best effects that we could.
It depends.
Depends.
So as you know, I do a lot of running on trails, and I think of the Dipsy Trail, and I know Tom is in the house, and his dad was a longtime Dipsy runner. And if you go on the Dipsy Trail, there are certain spots, and you have to know where they are. And there's a little plaque on a rock, and it's dedicating a group of volunteers from the 1920s or the 1950s, and there's just over in the Oakland Hills, the Golden Spike Trail, there's one, or in Muir Woods there's one. I think there's a couple, and so if there's a little plaque, if it's a statue that's really cool and made out of valuable metal, then maybe let's not do that. Let's just do something subtle, something similar to what David is. David's not a flashy guy. He's grounded in the earth, and I think that memorial should reflect who he is. So,
Councilmember Kern?
I think my position is pretty clear based upon the question that I asked, but I will tell you, I'm still vigorously working on my Brisbane, California has too much signage initiative, and that we should take down a sign for everyone we put up. However, in this case, I think that David really deserves this recognition, and I think it should just be special, which is the reason I mentioned public art. Make this more than just a fabricated placard. I think this should be something special. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
So I have a couple comments just reading this report. A couple things jumped out at me, which were, who are the other stakeholders that should have input on this? And I think Open Space and Ecology has a long history with the Mountain Association, also with David, and also Mountain Watch. And so I'm a little bit reluctant to just say, move this over to Parks and Rec and have them handle it. I think we need a little bit more public input. I really like the idea of potentially public art. I like the idea of a narrative history where it could be part of that. I know that it's kind of been taboo in Brisbane to do naming of anything because it creates a can of worms, but I could see potentially that there could be a naming rights to a trail, that we name it. I also was concerned that in terms of preservation of the mountain, and we harken back to the 70s, there were maybe other people involved, and they would feel disparaged if they were not also recognized. So I think that's part of the vetting process. I'd like to see that we make sure, certainly we want to honor David, but maybe at the same time, it's a good time to say, well, we could also honor a couple of these other people who had a significant impact on preservation of the mountain. So I would like to see it maybe get a little bit more vetting before moving on and input. So any further comments?
How would staff feel that answering some of these questions would best be handled, either through a ad hoc subcommittee, or would staff be the one who would be reaching out to, whether it be Mountain Watch or the public arts, or how would that best be looked at by staff to move this forward and not just kick the can down the road for a year or two? I think that we want to try to do this when it's still timely.
While he's still alive.
I don't want to say that.
I'm not just joking, but he is in his 80s.
I know. I think I don't want to just kick this down the road.
Thank you.
And I know if we try to push it on public art, that's going to kick it down the road for, at least 2 or 3 months. And I'm not sure we want to do that just so that part of it can be funded, because we can always integrate whatever we've done with public art afterwards if it's in an appropriate place for public art and for a companion piece. So, what would staff envision vetting this out a little bit more? I know Councilmember Lentz would like to, engage David Schooley in this, and I know it's not secret, so I don't see any problem with him engaging David to see what his thoughts might be. And, you know, who knows? David might say, I'd rather see you spend the money on doing XYZ. Who knows? Anyway, so I think that it's a good idea to reach out to David in one aspect, but I think it's also good to reach out to the other groups that might be involved. And again, how would staff envision that going down?
Sort of off the cuff, I think we can run these things concurrently. I think conversation between Councilmember Lentz and David will happen imminently, I'm sure. As it relates to the public art component, I think we could agendize for their next meeting, just a conversation generally about whether this is an appropriate purpose, with the notion that there may be little different versions of it. One might be solely related to Mr. Schooley, one might be part of a larger project with some art, maybe it's part of a series of items, and to get that taste test. And then I think we could also have a meeting with OSEC in January as well to identify some of these additional areas of interest, so location and maybe opine a little bit about the aesthetics of it. But I think we could have a product by the end of January next year.
So you could bring back to council with a compilation of different suggestions.
Yeah, with a recommendation from the bodies.
List of locations would be good. I know that public art is probably going to say, well, where is it going?
Mhm.
That's going to inform what makes sense. So,
If, you know, one of the things I'll build into this process is if we don't see some immediate information to action upon, we could also create a sort of an ad hoc joint committee structure where we have a couple members of public art, a couple members of OSEC, maybe somebody from Parks and Rec, who can just get together once to finalize a package to bring forward.
or you put at least one person on the ad hoc is a because there's Park and Rec members on public
Correct.
art. So you put at least one of those people who sits on both public art and Park and Rec. That way it's kind of covering all the bases.
Correct.
And could we also consider that a plaque may not be the end-all, that we consider different kinds of options and take a look at?
Absolutely. The
All the
staff report,
suggestions.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The staff report is intended to engender this kind of conversation. So we certainly, staff is not recommending a product or a location. This is just a way of providing some examples to allow the discussion to mature.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for the discussion. This is great. And, you know, it just made me just think of, you know, David's an artist, and David has created some incredible pieces. And who knows, maybe one of his pieces could be incorporated into the thing that recognizes him. So
Cool.
I hope to have
And
some
he's
feedback.
a writer too. I mean, like
He's not. He's a hiker. I don't
but-
think he's a runner.
No, a writer.
Oh, a writer. Yes.
Like
yeah,
he
yeah,
has poems, like maybe a poem
absolutely.
is like something that I'm sure he has. I mean, he has plenty of poems about the mountain, right? So that's a way. Maybe it's not his art, but it could be his words that are incorporated into something.
both art, right?
Yeah.
So yes, no, absolutely. I think I'm excited about the end product. So thank you. So
Staff have enough direction?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Staff reports, city manager's report. Could we have your report, please?
Just give me one moment to pull up my report. All right, thank you. This Saturday, 9:30 to 12:30 is the invasive species removal on Ice House Hill. We have a couple dozen people coming, maybe a little less than that, but a great turnout. If there's interested parties, please come. And that's about it for the rest of the year, other than Parents' Night Out on December 20th, 2025. That's from 5 to 10 o'clock in the park. We'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Countywide assignments and subcommittee reports. Anyone want to start with reports? Anyone have any reports?
No reports?
No reports
Member
here.
Lentz?
no. But I do have a question in regards to the upcoming subcommittees when we get there, if we are there.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, so it says Housing Subcommittee on 12/15. It's Davis and Kern alternate. So
This was the heart item related to visitation gardens.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you. That's right. Thank you. I just
We're like, wait a minute.
good.
that's
Yeah,
me.
because I had something else planned. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I better make sure I'm good. So thank you.
And does anyone have any items to propose for a subcommittee to discuss? No. Okay.
So I've seen this on a couple of meetings. Parkside 2 ad hoc subcommittee update.
Yes.
Is that just accidentally there, or is it this is just a standing?
We requested having it a standing item so that we could keep reporting out.
Okay.
But since the last meeting we had was last week,
Yeah, there's not.
we have another meeting scheduled already, but we haven't had a meeting
got it,
to
got it.
report. We just want to make sure we keep everyone informed.
We appreciate that.
Okay, written communications, Ingrid?
We have one correspondence from Jason Noonan, reply requested regarding the OSEC appointment.
All right, thank you. Move on to oral communications number 2. Any member of the public wish to make a public comment at this time? Michelle, I see a hand up.
This is for items not on the agenda. So there was
Correct.
somebody who was wanting to
Online,
make. If you're
yes.
around, this is your time.
When we were talking about honoring people who worked to save the mountain, Mimi Whitney worked very hard in the early days with David Schooley to save the mountain. She lives in Morro Bay now. She's a very accomplished artist, and she has a painting of San Bruno Mountain that she really would like to have the city have, but she doesn't want it just stuffed in a closet. And I would have to go down and pick up the painting and bring it back. And she's getting near her end of days and really wants to settle this. So I would like this to know whether the city is willing to make a commitment to hang her painting. I'll get more details. I've seen it, but it is beautiful. But she is a very famous artist in Southern California. Her paintings go for thousands of dollars now. I wish I owned one. So I will reach out to her about that if you want me to.
I see Jeremy nodding.
Yeah.
Yes,
that'd be
please.
Fantastic.
Once you have that, once you made that contact, please give me a call.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I'm in contact with her all the time. So, yeah, I think that would be a really nice way to honor her and her work is to have her artwork hang in a prominent place. And I like different ideas about, honoring David Schooley. I think it is really good. He has brought a lot of people to the mountain and taught a lot of people. I didn't mean to sound negative about it. It's just I'm concerned about where we put it and what happens, because you don't want to destroy the very thing you love by honoring it and then having it become an attractive nuisance for some reason.
Okay. Ingrid, we got a couple hands online. The gentleman that asked to speak last time.
We have Diana S. first and then Kai Cater.
Okay, Diana, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I'm very concerned about the information contained in this week's blast notifying the public about a soft close at City Hall for the last 2 weeks of December. There are several tax credits related to energy improvements that are now going to unexpectedly close as of December 31st under this new administration. The timing of the soft close is very worrisome. To have planning and its inspection access potentially limited for the last 2 weeks of December could cause significant issues for residents as well as landlords who might be trying to take advantage of the tax credits, energy credits before the end of the year when they are no longer available. I would like to request the city manager clarify what a soft close means for residents and landlords during the last 2 weeks of December, so interested parties could plan accordingly. If possible, the city manager could report out in the next issue of the blast and also reconsider the planned soft close. Thank you.
Okay. We have Kai Cater. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Kai, go ahead.
They're gone, Madam Mayor.
They're gone? Anyone in-house here wish to speak? No? Kai, we lost you. If you're listening, I'm sorry. We seem to have lost you.
No, they're back.
Okay,
Oh,
they're
wait,
back.
let's see.
Let's try. Kai, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And this is the unrelated comments, unrelated items section, right?
That's correct.
Okay, how much time do I have?
How about 3 minutes?
That sounds great. Thank you for letting me speak. We have, and this is under your purview because I'm going to be talking about some free speech restrictions that have been sweeping the country at councils like yours at the behest of the lobbying group for the Jews and Israel, the Anti-Defamation League. And I'm not going to be saying anything disruptive, and I can use the language I want. Supreme Court has said that. So please try to differentiate my free speech versus your insensitivity, which you may call a disruption. You can't use that as a reason to silence me. I don't know what that is. Here we go. Thank you. That's very nice to see that, that timer thing there. Okay, so what we're seeing in a lot of councils now are coordinated attempts to silence citizens from criticizing Israel, Zionism, and Jews, and they call that anti-Semitism, and they equate it to a violent act. This is what the Anti-Defamation League has been doing to silence citizens of the United States. We have a First Amendment in our country that allows citizens to question whoever they like, and we can't have that stripped away from a lobbying group for the Jews and Israel. In October of 2023, there was a strong effort leading into that time when the events happened with the third world country on kites, basically parachuting into a highly fortified first world defense country in Israel. And a lot of people believe that that was a setup to give Israel the right to commit 3 years of genocide. Well, 2 months leading into that period of time, the Anti-Defamation League was distributing to councils like yours marching orders on how to silence criticism of Israel, Zionism, and Jews. And a lot of bodies actually took that up, and they didn't pay attention to the First Amendment and the Constitution and their oaths that they take in office to protect those. Instead, they created anti-Semitism resolutions that intimidated the public from speaking about Israel because that was being conflated with violent acts against people or hate crimes. To be very clear, it is not illegal to hate Israel or to hate Jews. That is absolutely a legal right of the public. And the public is also allowed to criticize Jews and Israel, especially during a 3-year genocide that has been on display in front of the world's eyes. There seems to be a media that is controlled by a group that is keen on allowing it without having much exposure to it. But still, the public is starting to see what Israel is to the United States. And when people speak up against Israel, you will see the Anti-Defamation League and their slimy lawyers present paperwork stating that there's going to be another Holocaust and that this is a violent attack on Jewish identity, and similar crafty wordplay to try to fool the public into believing that we have somehow lost our free speech in a country where men died generation after generation protecting our civil rights, and one of them being the right to say fuck Jews and their genocide in Gaza. People are against them, and thank you for my time.
Any other public comments? No? That being said, this meeting is adjourned at 7:51. Thank you.
And